Welcome to hour number 2 of the lunch break here on KDUS AM 1060. Thanks for hanging out with us. Chris Schubert with you. Producer Evans on the other side of the glass, taking your phone calls, 480-864-1060. Got the NFL news dump coming up this hour. We've got an Overreaction Tuesday for you as well. Lots of stuff to dive into this hour of the show. I do want to start with ASU football. We talked a little bit about it yesterday. Kenny Dillingham named in a Bruce Feldman piece as a potential candidate for the LSU job now that they have moved on from Brian Kelly. And I don't think this is going away anytime soon. I think as long as Kenny Dillingham is here, and especially in a cycle this year with these high-profile jobs like a Penn State, like a Florida, like an LSU, like a UCLA, like these big-time programs being available, I think Kenny Dillingham's name is going to come up. And yesterday, Kenny Dillingham was asked the question. Not sure if you saw or heard his answer. Don't know how you felt about his answer. I know when I heard it, I didn't feel great about the way that he answered it. It was very non-committal. It was very kind of not slamming the door shut. Producer Evan made a good point to me that it was got to keep your leverage in your control, so you don't want to say the wrong thing up there at the podium. And so you say, hey, I'm just focusing on this season. I'm just focusing on winning as many football games as we can. And that's exactly what Kenny Dillingham said. And so that led me to think about this yesterday into today. Producer Evan, let's say for a moment the phone rings. That phone next to you rings. You're Kenny Dillingham's agent. You pick it up. It's LSU calling. And they want to make you a very highly paid coach in the world of college football. They want to make you one of the highest paid coaches in the world of college football. You're ASU. You get wind that LSU is willing to make Kenny Dillingham one of the highest paid head coaches in all of college football. What do if you're Graham Rossini and Arizona State University? That's what I want to try to unpack here today. What do you do if that offer actually gets slid across the table from a Penn State, from a Florida, from an LSU, over to a Kenny Dillingham? What do you do if you are Graham Rossini and ASU?
And the question is, can they match it? And if they can't match it, how close can they come to matching it? What do the offers comparatively look like? And is Kenny willing to take a hometown discount? Those are the biggest questions, right? Because I think there's no doubt in my mind that those three programs have deeper pockets than ASU has. But what does their offer look like? How willing is ASU to overextend themselves to keep him here?
Behind the scenes, I wonder if there would be a willingness to go beyond the norm here at Arizona State to keep Kenny Dillingham around, right? Because you said, can they pay him enough? I think any institution that is a Power 4 institution can find the money if they want to do something. If they are driven and motivated and they feel like this is the right thing for whatever program it is, you can find the money. You can find the booster. You can find the NIL deals. You can find whatever it takes to keep somebody with your institution. If you wanted to find the money to keep Kenny Dillingham to compete with the LSUs, the Penn States, the Floridas of the world, you can make that choice. ASU is not a Division II school that is watching a power school call for their coach. They are also a Power 4 school. So this can they thing kind of bothers me. It's a will they. It's a do they have the appetite. It's really comes down to this question that you all have to try to answer. I know what my answer is. You have to come to your own determination on this. ASU has to come to their determination on this. Is Kenny Dillingham the guy to do something that you've never done before? Is Kenny Dillingham the exception to the rule? Is Kenny Dillingham that special, that much of a difference maker to this football program that this is the time? Because really, once you do this, you don't do it again on the next hire. There's a cycle that happens here. So if you do this and it doesn't work out with Kenny, you're not going to probably do this again for 15, 20 years. You're not going to play in the sandbox, with Penn State and LSU and Florida to compete for your guy. So you have to know, you have to feel that conviction that Kenny Dillingham is the guy that's going to change this program. And you know what? My answer today is this is the guy you back up the Brinks truck for. This is the guy that you make an example out of in a good way. You say, when we identify somebody that we think is a culture changer, a difference maker, a program alterer, we make sure that guy is taken care of, and we make sure that guy is our guy, because he is our guy, because this is his alma mater. This is where his family lives. This is where he grew up. This state, this program, this city, this valley is Kenny Dillingham, and we don't want that. We don't want that feeling to leave and go in someplace else. So we're going to make sure that Kenny Dillingham's not going to LSU. And so, yeah, we're going to compete with the LSUs of the world. We're going to compete with the Penn States of the world. We're going to compete with the Floridas of the world. Dollar for dollar, we're going to be right there. That's what I would do. Is there anybody, since you've been at the university, producer Evan, since I've been at the university, that has impacted this city, this state, this football program the way Kenny has in 2.5 seasons?
I would sit down and argue, outside of those that brought professional teams to the area, there is not a player or coach in this town that has stirred up more excitement for their respective team than Kenny Dillingham has for the Arizona State Sun Devils.
Then that is the type of impact person that you don't let leave. You don't allow a couple $1 million to be the difference between Kenny Dillingham doing that in Baton Rouge, Kenny Dillingham doing that at Penn State, Kenny Dillingham doing that in Florida, UCLA, whoever might come calling. You don't let that be a reason to let him walk. If you think you can find another Kenny Dillingham, then sure. You say, all right, we're not going to match that. We have somebody else in mind. Remember, when they made the change at athletic director, and they had to go in a different direction with their head coaching search, right? Herm needed to go. They needed somebody else to be here. Kenny was their guy. Kenny was their choice. Kenny is who this program, this university thought is the right guy to lead us into the next chapter. And already he has paid dividends on that bet, on that gamble, that you picked the right guy. So I know at times you say to yourself, there is a number that I'm not willing to match. There is a number where if they want to go there, right? We saw this in the Juan Soto sweepstakes in the offseason in baseball. They're just a number where other teams aren't going to get into that bidding war. It's where they tap out. I know everybody has a number, but I'll ask you this, producer Evan. If you keep it close, maybe you don't have the exact number to the penny with LSU. If you keep it close and you give Kenny a raise, do you really think he's going somewhere?
I don't even think you need to match the number. You just need to be in the ballpark, right? That's the conversation I'm having with myself in my head. What's the number relative? Because all of that comes with it, right? I'm not moving. I'm not moving my family. My entire extended family is here. This is where I grew up. You said this all yesterday. This is where I met my wife. This is home. And he said that in his introductory press conference. This is home.
Which I played today, and boy, was it a different tone than the answer that he gave yesterday to the media about the LSU rumors. Now, do you want the other side of the argument? Because it's all code. Our good friend over on YouTube provides the flip side. And he said, I would not back up the Brinks truck for Kenny at this point. ASU, LSU, or any school. Too soon. And as you discussed last segment, do you know what you have beyond Scadaboo, Tyson, and Sam Love? So it is it's
a very fair argument
to make. Honestly, the bet that you're making is on the person. You're betting that Kenny can figure this out. And you're betting that you're better off with Kenny than having to conduct another search. That's the bet that you're making.
Yeah. I want to push back on what Code has to say.
Okay.
Because, yes, this is too soon as a head coach and not an extended series of success for Kenny. That's kind of, for me, scoffing at his resume prior to being the head coach at Arizona State.
What he did at Oregon, what he did
at Oregon, what he did at Auburn, what he did at Florida State. This is a guy who's been part of rebuilds.
And I will say this. I know it's not tangible, and I know it's not, it doesn't change the talent level and that with a question mark that we have about the talent around this team that we had in the last segment. But excitement is something that isn't easily created. And Kenny has created an excitement here for this program. Now, you have to have results or it's going to fade. I agree wholeheartedly with that. And you saw the excitement from what he was able to do in his second season, winning a conference championship the first year they're in the Big 12, going to the college football playoff and almost beating Texas. Now, let's see where the chips fall at the end of this season, right? Let's see how things end. I don't like their chances this Saturday against Iowa State without Sam Leavitt, potentially without Jordan Tyson. So you're looking at a team that might be 5-4. Can they get to 8-4, win a bowl game, finish with 9 wins? Is that possible? If they finish this season with 9 wins, yes, not meeting our expectations. But you would have year one, he has to come in here and clean up a mess that was left. You give him a wash. His next 2 seasons are Big 12 title, college football playoff berth, 9 wins, and a bowl victory. You would feel like he's doing his job. You would feel like he's on the right track here. And we all knew this wasn't going to be an overnight kind of thing. We got very excited with what happened in year 2, and we wondered if it was sustainable. I think winning 9 games, including a bowl game, might tell a lot of people that this is sustainable. You fall short of that, you go 7-6 with a bowl victory, it's a question mark. But to me, if you think this is the right leader, if you think this is the right recruiter, if you think this is the right front man for your football program, I just worry about letting him walk and just hoping that you can find somebody else. Because let's face it, nobody is going to have the authenticity that Kenny Dillingham has when he talks to the people of this valley.
No.
There is nobody that is going to be able to match the roots in the ground here, right, that Kenny had. Nobody is going to be able to say, I went to this university. I'm from here. I went to high school here. I raised my family here. This is who I am as a person. This is my school. This is, to use what he said in his introductory press conference, home. You're not going to be able to find somebody that can connect with the fans, the boosters, the students, media in the way that Kenny can because he gets it. He's from here. There is value to that. The value is, I think it's a type of guy that you go to bat for if a big school comes calling.
And we talk about the excitement. ASU sold out all 4 of its home games to this point this season. Do you know that?
I didn't until you just told me.
You know, that's the first time they've sold out 3 consecutive home games or more since 2007.
Now, I will say this.
You know, it's the first time they've sold out a home opener since 1998.
I will tell you this, though. This season is not going to meet the expectations. I think we can all agree there.
No.
That's going to put pressure on Kenny. But you know what? I believe in him. I believe in that pressure making a better version of Kenny Dillingham. We do have to remember, this is only his 3rd season as a head coach at the collegiate level. 3rd. He's not even through it. He's 2.5 years on the job. And year 1 was basically a babysitting mission of trying to figure out where the program was.
And if teams like Penn State, LSU, Florida recognize it and come calling, and if it's true that we talked about that all of those schools are going to call Kenny Dillingham, you know what that means? You got it right.
You do have to stop and really reflect that if LSU and Penn State and Florida, and we don't know if they will, if all of them come calling, doesn't that make you go, do we really want to let this guy go? And to me, the answer is no. I would make the bet. It is a risk. It is a gamble. It is a bet. I'm willing to admit all of that. This is not getting Nick Saban, who's had decades of success at the collegiate level. You are taking a risk. You are gambling, per se. But you know what? This is the type of guy that I would take the bet on. This is the type of guy I would take a risk on, not the new pro model and Herm Edwards.
I think the example is take a step back and talk about the other guy that's going to get all the calls this offseason, Lane Kiffin. Right? His first year, they go 5-5 at Ole Miss. So he takes the job from FAU, works the team in. They go to the Sugar Bowl 10-3 in his second year. 10-3. It's a great year. And immediately fall back. They go to 8-5. So there is a little bit of leeway here. Like, we've seen this with other prestigious coaches and guys that are going to get calls.
Give me those 3 years again.
Starts at Ole Miss, he goes 5-5.
So, okay, starts at Ole Miss. He goes 5. That's a weird. What happened there?
It's COVID year.
I was just going to say only 10 games feels very, very odd. So, okay, his first year, he goes 5-5. Comes over from FAU. He gets to a big-time program at Ole Miss, and he's trying to figure it out.
And it's a weird year, right? They have a 4-5 regular season. They win the Outback Bowl to get to 5-5. So keep that in mind.
Okay. First year for Kenny Dillingham, he goes 3-9. He goes 2-7 in the conference.
Second year, they go 10-3. They lost in the Sugar Bowl. 10-2 season for Ole Miss in 2021 with Matt Corral. They lose in the Sugar Bowl.
2024, Kenny Dillingham's second season, he goes 11-3, wins the conference title, loses in the Peach Bowl.
Ole Miss in 2022 goes 8-5, and they lose in the Texas Bowl.
Right now, ASU is 5-3. Doesn't 8-5 feel like kind of what we're barreling towards?
Yep. And then the next year, 11-2 with a win in the Peach Bowl for Ole Miss. The year after that, 10-3 with a win in the Gator Bowl. And this year, off to a 7-1 start. And certainly everybody's going to be calling about Lane Kiffin this offseason.
There's a lot of comparisons between him and Lane. And you see all of the teams out there that are trying to get Lane Kiffin to come coach their team. It's a bet. It's a risk. It's a gamble. I get all of that. It's one that I would be willing to make. There's just something about the early start to Kenny's career here that tells me they got it right. And here's why I would be willing to do it. You would be allowing him to walk away before you've seen it all the way through. If this is year 5, if this is year 6, if this is year 7, and you got people still convincing you, just wait another season, one more year, we're going to figure this out. You know what? No, I'm not going to play with the big boys. But we are just scratching the surface. You've got to see it through. You made the bet and gamble when you picked him in the first place. You made him one of the youngest head coaches in the sport. You've got to see it through.
And let me just ask, how many people look back on something and say they regret it because they didn't see it through? How many people regret it like, I was wrong on that one? What do you think's more regretful? People that didn't see it through. You got to see this through with Kenny.
Yeah, and that's why, to me, I would back up the Brinks truck. And I get it. It would be a lot of money, but I would do it.
And I understand the buyout doesn't feel as possible as it does for some of these other teams. That's okay. That's the risk you're willing to take.
Yep, and I'm willing to take that risk.